another episode of Listen to Us Rant About Movies. My name is Wes Ford.
And I'm Zach Harris.
And today with us, we have a special guest. His name is Jason, quote-unquote, Bojo Lion. He's a longtime friend of mine, and he's an appropriate guest, I think, for our review, because we're going to be reviewing Warcraft, the new Duncan Jones film based on Blizzard's award-winning game series. And Bojo is a longtime fan and player of the games.
I have played all of them, minus the newest WoW stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's pretty familiar with all this stuff. We each picked out a different beer for this episode to drink, along with our discussions. Bojo, what'd you pick?
I have the Shadow Brewer by Ommegang. It is
Nice.
a Imperial Stout, kind of strong at 9.7, but super delicious.
I'm a fan of Ommegang. They're real good.
Yeah.
Omegang's great. You're a stout boy, too.
Oh,
aren't
yeah.
you? Zach
Big
loves the
stout boy.
stouts.
I haven't had that one.
Then you
Gotta
should try it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you should. Zach, what'd you pick out?
I have, I believe it's Witchwood Brewing. I don't have the bottle in here with me. But Hobgoblin.
Nice.
It's a dark, I don't know what it is. I should have had the bottle here. What am I doing?
I've actually had that one as well. It's a dark English ale.
Dark English ale.
Dark-
There you go.
Nice.
Tasty. I'm liking it.
Yeah. Cool. I picked out Weyerbacher. They just released a special release beer called Blasphemy. Has a cool cover on it of like this crow with this dagger and a book. It kind of looks Edgar Allan Poe-ish. It's pretty cool. And it's a dark Belgian-style quadruple ale. And it's aged in whiskey barrels. And it is 11.8%. So I'm going to be feeling pretty toasty by the end of this podcast, probably.
Totally.
Which is a good thing. Am I right?
Yeah.
So let's give it a little taste.
Let's get a sip going.
Let's go. Whew. Good
Tasty
stuff.
business.
I think we all picked appropriate beers, and they're all dark. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, so for those who are listening to us for the first time, we like to rant about movies, and we drink while we do it, obviously. And so feel free to grab a beer while you're listening to us and drink along with us. It's always fun. So we're going to be reviewing Warcraft, of course, but we're going to be doing a non-spoiler review followed by a spoiler review to keep those separated. But before we go into that, we're going to do a little bit discussion about what we've been watching lately since our last podcast. So, Zach, what have you been watching since our last episode?
Let's see. Oh, I had this open. It switched away. What did I watch? Watched some good stuff. I watched Kill List, which is Ben Wheatley's second movie, I think. I think it's his second movie.
What was his first?
I think it's called Down Terrace. I haven't seen that. But I really like Sightseers, and Field in England's cool, and I just saw High Rise, and I like that. So I was like...
Oh, same guy. Same guy as High
yeah.
Rise. Okay,
So I was
cool.
like, why haven't I seen Kill List? It's supposed to be good. It was pretty good. I liked it. It got pretty hyped up. It seemed like from what I had been reading, and like I don't like it as much as his other films, but more. It has a good payoff, and it's basically like it starts and it's like a 2 hitmen movie, and they're like, we're gonna go kill these people, and then they have a list of people, and slowly like they become intertwined, and there's this like weird, almost like supernatural thing going on, or like occult stuff. So it gets good, but some of it isn't tip top, I would say. But
Okay.
if you like his other films, I would definitely recommend it. But it wasn't my favorite of his stuff.
Gotcha. Cool, man. I recently, I've started and finished all of Rick and Morty season 1.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd seen some episodes kind of randomly here and there, but I decided to like sit down and watch the full season, and I love it. It's great.
It is great. It is an amazing show.
Such a good show.
It's so weirdly dark at the same time, though.
It is.
Totally.
It's definitely dark. Some people say they don't like how dark it is, but I kind of like that about it.
I think it's
you know?
impressive how serious and like they get some weight in there to their characters for like something that there was like a character named like Glib Glob or something. You know what I mean? It's like those aren't the characters that they're really working with, but it's like it's interesting that those two things can exist like in the same space. Just the insanely wacky like silliness, but like actually care about them.
Yeah. Like on the surface too, it's very silly and over the top, but like it has some like really deep philosophical scientific themes.
Yeah, totally.
And I love that.
It's so good. Have you seen any of season 2 yet, or just one?
I think I've seen like 2 episodes, but I want to like watch it all the way through again.
2 just came out on Blu-ray, I think.
Yeah, it did just come out, so I think I'm gonna buy that because I just bought the first one on Blu-ray. Bojo, you've seen all of them, right?
I have a small hole in the first season, but I've seen all of season 2, and
Nice.
it just improves and constantly gets better.
Totally.
Yeah.
Season 2 is way better than season 1, and like season 1 is already super, super good. So
Yeah, that's cool. That's good to know. You've seen them all, Zach?
yeah,
Cool.
I'm a really big fan. It's great. I love that show.
I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. Yeah, so Rick and Morty, that's great. Great show. And I love Dan Harmon.
Yeah, he's awesome. I feel like this is the best thing he's done, or at least my favorite thing, probably.
Yeah, he's pretty great. I also caught 99 Homes.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it.
What'd you think?
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, dude.
So good.
It's amazing. It is so good.
It's so good. I loved it, yeah. For those who don't know, 99 Homes was a movie that was shot in Orlando, actually. It's about the housing crisis in, like, the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
And stars Michael Shannon. He's just amazing in it.
So good.
Like, I'll just follow him anywhere. Like, I would just watch anything that he's in.
He needs to be in some experimental, like, 24-hour-long movie where it's just, like, him driving a car, like, in traffic. Him, making and then eating eggs, like, best movie ever.
just eating eggs. Doesn't matter, just anything.
Grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Be an incredible movie.
That would be amazing. Yeah, dude, I loved it. It's been like a couple of weeks since I saw it, because I saw it like immediately after our last episode where you talked about it. But man, yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. It was great.
It's great. All the performances are so good. It's like Andrew Garfield, hit or miss for me, but like he's doing it in that movie. He's so good.
I know what you mean. You talked about that. He did so well.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he did really well in that.
Solid flick.
Bojo, have you caught anything recently?
Recently we discovered Orphan Black on Amazon Prime. It was interesting. It's like a weird conspiracy theory where like a bunch of women who are clones of each other. And it's kind of them piecing this together. I only got to the first season, so I didn't make it very far, but it's like that. It's got some good thriller bits, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I've heard of the show. I don't really know much beyond that, other than I know some people like it. I don't really know what it's about, though.
So wait, it's about
Like I said,
clones of the like.
yeah.
So does the lead character like play a bunch of different versions of themselves?
Yes. And
Okay,
that's I
that's
think is the most fun of the show. Because like it starts off with her returning home, which is Canada, because that's where it's made from. And she sees another one of the clones commit suicide and finds out that she's a cop, but she tried to rob her, ends up pretending to be a cop, and finds like a German version, an American version, some like scientist lady, and there's also another version of her that's then trying to kill all of them, and she's just like a crazy Eastern European lady. And it's just a lot of different like costume designs for her and playing different characters and being insane, and it's a lot of fun. But they haven't really scratched too much surface on the story, I mean. So I don't really know where it's going to know if it's going to stay good.
Yeah, I get you. A lot of setup.
Yeah.
I get you.
Interesting.
It's an interesting story, though.
Yeah, I didn't know it was about clones.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Because basically the cop knew about this and was working with it, and so when she takes the cop's space, like, the contacts start getting a hold of her, and she's just like, what?
Yeah.
There's like 9 of us?
Nice. That's cool. What's next on your list, Zach?
I watched Outlaw Gangster VIP 2. I think last time we talked about the first one, right?
There's a second one?
There's 6 of them.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
One craziest title ever.
Yeah, they're not all called that, though. Like, after 2, it starts, like, I think the next one's called Heartless, and then it's, like, Goro the Assassin. I think one's just called Kill, ! Or something. But yeah,
Straight to the point.
The second one was great. Not quite as good as the first, but for those who didn't hear, it's just basically 60s, like, stylish youth gangster movie from Japan. Just about it, like, stereotypical, like, guy wanted to get out of the Yakuza, but he's too good, so everyone pulls him back in. But it's amazing. There's a really good scene. He, like, runs away from Tokyo or whatever in the first one and, like, goes out to the mountains, and he's like, I gotta start, like, a normal life, you know? But he's just, like, this super slick, like, Japanese gangster guy. So it shows he, like, joins these, like, lumber people. He's, like, cutting down trees in a snowstorm. But he's wearing this, like, amazing leather jacket with, like, his collar popped up. And, like, brown leather shoes and, like, tight pants. And he's, like, doing, like, all this manual labor. Pretty funny.
That's ridiculous.
That aside, though, that was just a funny thing I noticed. But it's a super cool movie. They're really awesome. Lots of good, like, knife fight set pieces. Because I don't know if this is accurate to, like, that way the Yakuza operate or whatever. But, like, everyone has, like, the tiny samurai sword, you know, like the dagger version.
Yeah.
So, like, there's scenes where he's storming in to kill, like, a boss of one of the clans or whatever, one of the gangs. And, there's just, like, 50 guys there. So he's just like, how am I going to get out of here? And all of them just have these, like, little, like, daggers. And there's really interesting, like, big, like, set pieces like that.
That's cool.
Play out more realistically than some of the ones that I've seen before like that, where it's just, like, 2 people fighting and, like, a circle of people around them just, like, standing there waiting, you know? They're really, like, rough and tumble and, like, running through, pushing people over, like, busting through walls of sets into, like, new locations and stuff. It's really cool.
So it's very martial arts heavy.
Yeah, but in a almost like inexperienced way. Like, it's just like it's just like 10 dudes in a hallway running after another guy who's just, like, running over 10 other guys to get out. And they're all just swinging knives around, you know? It's pretty awesome, though. I would definitely recommend it.
Man, where'd you watch it? Where can I watch it?
It got put out on Blu-ray by the Arrow Video. They're like mainly a UK Blu-ray company, but they just started putting out stuff in America, and they just put out a set of it. It was a while ago now. It took me a while to watch it, but
gotcha.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Interesting. I watched The Lobster.
Nice.
I finally caught it.
What'd you think?
You've been trying to get me to watch it for so long. I've been trying to watch it for so long because it took forever to get over here.
Totally.
But, dude, I loved it.
It's so good.
I loved it.
It's unbelievably
so
good.
Like, it was way funnier than I thought it was.
Totally.
Way bigger cast than I expected. Like, there were some surprises. I'd seen a trailer, but I'd forgotten, like, John C. Reilly was in it.
Yeah. Ben Whishaw.
Yeah, Ben Whishaw was a surprise for me, actually. And I didn't know Rachel Weisz was in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I didn't know she was in it either.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, I guess. Never mind. But
yeah. But it was really good. My only qualm with the film was I didn't like the ending.
Yeah, you didn't like the ending?
Didn't like the ending.
I kind of like it, but I see it. I see your point, but
it was very unsatisfactory.
Yeah, totally. I think it's, like, intentionally so, but it does not make you feel good when you leave. You're just like, fuck.
That's the thing. Like, absolutely. I mean, it was done on purpose, but yeah, like I walked out like, man.
Yeah, because some of it's like really fun to watch.
Oh yeah, it's super fun.
And then all of a sudden,
it's a really funny movie.
And then it just gets like real dark, real quick. And you're just like, oof.
Yeah.
Sometimes even for just like one scene, and then gets funny again the next scene. You know. But
it's a dark comedy.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like it's like real, you know, real dark.
Yeah.
Or I guess just brutal. It was more brutal than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. For those who don't know, The Lobster is about basically like this future, not too distant future world where if you can't find a mate, you get turned into a animal of your choice. And it stars Colin Farrell, and basically he says, if I don't find a mate, I choose to be a lobster. That's where the title comes from. So basically the whole movie is him like trying to find a mate, and all these other people like trying to find mates, and it's just like overly awkward, and it's just like very forced. It's kind of like a message about today's kind of world where things are forced with like online dating, and dating's just weird now, you know what I mean? Like it's not at all like the way it used to be. So I think it's a play on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's very funny, and the style is interesting. I thought it was definitely. I loved how the director, I forget his name, Yorgos
Lanthimos or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's Greek, but he built off his style of his previous movies.
Yeah,
and like this was like a much higher budget film, which was awesome for him.
Totally.
And how he took that and like kind of mainstreamed his style. I like that a lot.
But it's still very specific, and you can like tell it's him.
Mainstream as in like he improved upon.
Yeah.
His own style.
So I got a question for that.
Yeah.
So you said they could pick their animal?
Yeah, they get to choose whatever animal they want.
I mean, that sounds like barely a downside. Just like, well, I can't find a mate. I'm going to turn into a big bear.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hibernate for a while. This is cool.
Yeah. Basically,
not a bad option if, you know, in a weird dystopian society, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
it's one of the
worse
better
things
ones
to happen.
Yeah. But a couple other things I liked about it was, well, for one, kind of the acting, like directing that he made the actors do. Like, the actors very much are speaking, like, intentionally. Like, they almost, it sounds odd to say, but almost as if they're, like, mentally challenged.
It's very monotone.
Where they're very monotone. They're awkward the way they're saying things. They don't seem, like, socially adept, you know?
Yeah. And
they're kind of just, like, saying these things, but it's hilarious because they're saying super serious things in a monotone way.
Yeah, and it's just like when he's like, I can't stand the screaming. Like, I hope they die quickly.
Yeah.
I can't stand hearing the screaming from my room. Like, I want to take a nap, or just like something like that. It's just like Jesus.
Some weird stuff. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So I liked that. I like that aspect. I thought that made it funnier.
Gives it a really weird feeling too. Just like this sort of uneasiness the whole time.
And there's one other thing I really enjoyed, which was I like how, I won't get into the plot too much, but how sometimes randomly there's just like random animals that don't belong in the landscape just walking in the background.
It's the best. There's just like a camel.
They're in the forest and a camel walks by. It's like clearly that person wanted to be a camel.
Yeah, and there's some like that great cut where you see the girl from earlier like as a pony.
Yeah, exactly. No, it wasn't a spoiler. You're good.
But like, and you can tell that she is the pony. Like you see the pony and you know, and it's just
you just know.
It's they play on that really funny. Like, get more animals in there. I'm not knocking the movie for having enough, but like,
they should have got just a couple more.
It's the best. Like, there's a huge peacock, isn't there, in a scene, and like all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, the flamingo, and it's like in England. It's like that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I enjoyed it.
One sec.
Definitely enjoyed it. Sure.
I just texted you. I was gonna ask you trying to cook soon at some point.
I'm like halfway through, so you can go if you want.
Oh, you doing a podcast?
Yeah, I'm recording right now.
Let's do it after.
Okay, cool.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah, that was pretty much the end. Anyone else got something else on their list?
Not list new things count?
What's that?
Not list new things count.
Anything counts.
Yeah, just anything you
I
want.
recently also saw Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping.
How was that?
Nice.
I'm curious about this
It was
movie.
fantastic. It's basically just like a movie of a Lonely Island CD mixed with like a mockumentary of Justin Bieber's life.
Nice.
Sounds
Those
very
guys are
funny.
hilarious, so I was like really
Yeah.
hoping that I would like it. So it's good to hear that it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it got good reviews and like viewings and stuff, but if you enjoyed their old movie Hot Rod,
Yeah, Hot Rod's
you're
hysterical.
probably gonna enjoy this.
Nice.
Yeah. It's along the same things. The soundtrack is great.
Yeah, I heard a couple of the like one or two of the songs they released, and they were super funny. So
Oh, I bet they make really funny songs.
yeah,
So I have to check that out at some point.
You do. It is a hilarious movie. I recommend it.
nice.
Nice. Cool.
I watched X-Men Apocalypse and X-Men
Oh,
Days of
I did
Future
as well.
Past because I hadn't seen Days of Future Past, so I had to catch up.
Yep. What'd you think of both of those? Because I've been wanting to hear this.
Days of Future Past was good. I liked it.
Right? Yeah.
It was small scale, big scale. I mean, it definitely
you
gets
love.
big scale at the end, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like Apocalypse, which I didn't really care for, where it's just like, I don't know, the world being at stake is just like old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me,
Totally
I don't
agree,
know,
man.
But
No, I agree. It's just like the sort of thing where, for one, I didn't think X-Men Apocalypse was necessarily bad, but in a world that we live in now, where we're becoming saturated with superhero films,
yeah,
having a movie going back to things that we've kind of seen before, it's boring.
yeah,
And having the world kind of be at stake with those big high stakes, I don't like it. I just, it's with the world ending every time, it doesn't need to be that way. Like, the world doesn't
Yeah.
have to end every time. And I agree with you, Zach. We've had this conversation many times. Big scale, small scale.
yeah.
It's big scale for the characters, small scale for the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more entertaining. Usually makes for a better movie.
Yeah, totally.
Like Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Mm.
High stakes for the characters, low stakes for the whole world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really just the city that was in danger. And that just seems to work better.
Yeah, it's just like we've seen the entire world be threatened before, and it's just like, especially with the X-Men movies, where it's just like every time they must band together and like be accepted by society but then they win and then everyone likes them, but then they don't like them again
Yeah.
when the next movie starts. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
seems it also seemed like they had been like progressing forward, like each one was like building, you know? They did First Class and they did that one, which was like bringing them together,
Right.
and I guess this was supposed to be the first like send off of only that
Mm-hmm.
post this whole new timeline thing, which I don't even know about. But
Yeah. So let me explain that a little bit. Okay. So we have X-Men 1 and 2, right? Which were directed by Bryan Singer. I still like those movies. Those are great movies. And that kind of ushered in the world of superhero movies that we now live in. And then X3 got made by Brett Ratner, which was a terrible movie. And he kind of
Yeah,
like
it's
screwed
worse.
with everything Brett Ratner wanted to do.
Bryan
That
Singer,
ended
you mean?
the X-Men. What's that?
everything Bryan Singer wanted to do, like with the series.
Yeah, everything Bryan
Okay.
Singer wanted
Yeah.
to do. Yeah. So he's still very bitter about that and still makes references to all the future X-Men movies. So X-Men basically ended after that. That was the trilogy. Then, like, I don't know, like 8 years later, X-Men First Class got made by another director, got rebooted.
Yeah.
It's brought in a whole new cast. It was like a prequel film. It did really well. So they went on to make Days of Future Past, which is with Bryan Singer again. He got to return, and he's like, yes, I can do what I want again. So he melded the two casts, which is awesome.
Yeah.
He took the prequel cast and his original cast, melded them with a time plot that doesn't really make sense in real life, but it makes sense for comic book movies.
Yeah, totally.
And then he reset the timeline to where X3 never happened. As basically a big fuck you to Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
So all that stuff was erased. And now X-Men Apocalypse just came out, and that's just like a continuation of the new cast's story and the prequels. And so it's a continuation of that. And it's with Bryan Singer again. This time, I don't think he did quite as well with it.
Yeah.
He even says in the film, there's a part where the characters are... I don't think it's a spoiler, but the characters make a reference to the third movie in the trilogy is usually the worst.
Yeah,
what they basically
totally.
say. And that's a reference to X3. And it's also... It could be a reference to his own movie.
Yeah.
Which is X-Men Apocalypse.
Is that this movie that I'm watching?
Yeah. Like, is that a movie too? So very complicated franchise, but no, I don't think it was necessarily bad. But again, like I think it was in the jumble of Civil War coming out and all these other superhero films that we're seeing, having just this world destroyed plot didn't quite work as well, and it suffered from the clutter of too many characters, and
everyone's got to have their moment where it's like, look at this guy, here's a 3-minute scene of his moment, here's a 3-minute scene of this character's moment, like,
yeah. So
also Oscar
you pretty much
Isaac
agree with me?
wasted.
Oh yeah, he was wasted. I also think Psylocke was wasted. Had Olivia Munn, pretty cool person / actress, and they didn't really do much with her character.
They just like made her show a bunch of skin and just like run around. And they also never really introduced her character, but just casually said her name like a lot. And it was like distracting me. Like, Psylocke, come here. Like, Psylocke, grab the thing. They're just like forcing, like, you know what I mean? Forcing the name in so you know it's that character, which is weird.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, that was garbage and left. Like, what? I didn't even see that. But the other ones, like Days of Future Past, I was like, oh, that was good. I liked that. And this was like, well, don't need to watch this one again. I saw it now, you know?
Yeah. I'm glad you like Days of Future Past, though, man.
Yeah, because it's like an interesting idea for like rebooting a franchise, like incorporating into the last ones. And that's just like an interesting idea.
It's really cool because, you know, at that point when that movie got made, we hadn't seen the original like X-Men cast except for Wolverine.
Yeah.
In like 10, 12 years, you know. And then they were all back, and it was like, oh man, it's like the original Magneto. Ian McKellen's there, and like, it's cool. But anyway, sorry about my long rant about X-Men.
No, it's
but
okay.
I've been holding that in.
Yeah.
I mean, it is right there in your name.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. We rant. That's what we do here. Yeah. What else do you see, Zach?
I watched the Stanford Prison Experiment with
Haven't heard of it.
it was an indie movie that came out like I think last year. Pretty sure it was last year. But it was good. It was like Billy Crudup sets up this experiment in Stanford where like they get these people, I think it's in the 70s. They get these young people to apply to like get, I think they got paid like $15 a day or something to like simulate a prison experience to see like what I'm drawing a blank here. To just cut me off. To simulate a prison experiment.
No, I know some about this. I think it was kind of like the mentality of like people being in charge.
Yeah.
They just randomly assign students to be prisoners and some to be the wardens.
Exactly, yeah.
And the ones who were wardens, like the power went straight to their head and they were like abusing and doing
It was all an experiment.
Yeah.
I think I heard about that before, yeah.
But yeah,
So there's a movie made about it. That's cool.
yeah, it was. The movie was pretty good. Like I'd say it's worth a watch. I didn't love it, but like pretty good like sensibility about like the pacing and like the way it looks, and also just like a lot of really good younger actors that I like. Like the long-haired, red-haired kid from Palo Alto is in it.
Oh, nice.
Michael Aragano or whatever, who's in like The Nick and like Almost Famous. He's in it and he's good. The kid from forgetting all of their names, but from We Need to Talk About Kevin, he's in it. So there's like a lot of good. The cast that they put together is really good for like all the kid actors, or they're not kid actors but younger actors. Right. A few of them do look a little weird, like it's like I'm in the 70s with like a huge mustache that's like clearly fake, but whatever. Like,
that's hilarious.
It was worth a watch, I would say. I didn't like love it, but worth a watch.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't even heard about that movie, but that's cool. What about you, Bojo? Anything else?
That's pretty much been it. Past that's just been playing Overwatch.
Oh, I've been doing that too.
Nice.
So I also watched Conjuring 2.
Oh, nice. How's that?
Yeah. Have you seen the original?
Yeah. It was good.
Conjuring 1? Have you seen?
Oh,
You're not a...
I like backed out of that. We started watching it together, and there was the creepy monster in like the closet. I'm just like, I'm out. I can't watch this. I'm done.
It's very scary. But I like horror movies, and I like the first one. I'm a fan. The second one, loved it, dude.
Really?
I loved
Better
it.
than the first
and
one.
the more I think about it and the more time passes, the more I love it. Because a lot of people don't think so. I think it might be better than the first. Maybe because it builds on the franchise, and like I think of it as a whole. I like everything more. And I rewatched most of the first one today, just before Bojo came over, actually. And just because I was like thinking about Conjuring 2, and I was like, I gotta watch the original again. And I've seen that movie many times, though. And I don't know. Something about Conjuring 2 was just, it really like hit home for me. Because it was just a fantastic sequel. It brought its own... Thing. It is, especially in a horror franchise. It was not only absolutely terrifying, which I've woken up a couple times in the middle of the night and I've been like looking around like
drink too.
Oh man, make sure there's no fucking people or demons in the shadows. All right, just ignore it. Go back to sleep. It's had that effect on me, but it's also had a positive effect where it's more than just a horror movie. Because it continues the love story between the Warrens in the first one. And it's about them, too. And it's also about just them being good people. And it's very interesting in a horror franchise to have the people you remember the most not be like the villain, you know?
Yeah.
And like most horror movies, you remember in Friday the 13th, you remember Jason, you know? You don't remember the individual characters or the good heroes. You remember the bad guys because those stick out to you, but these good guys stick out to you, which I think says something because you really care about them. You care about their relationship, and their relationship gets stronger throughout the movie, and it builds off the first movie, and you see that, and it's so well written and so well acted that it's just fantastic.
Nice. So
I really dug it.
It follows like Patrick Wilson and I forget the other actress.
I forget her name too. Apologies, but the two that were in the first one, Ed and Lorraine Warren,
not like the people who hired them in the first one.
Correct. It's a new
story.
It's a new story about this couple, it was a real couple.
Yeah,
it's based on real events. Their names were Ed and Lorraine Warren. The actors are a much more attractive version
of course.
of them. Yeah, obviously. So it follows a second. It's like a case a few years later, which was also another case that was real in London about this girl who basically this family who starts having these supernatural occurrences, and the girl starts getting the spirit channels through this young girl, and it's very creepy. But so it's this a case they go to investigate, and the story progresses from there. But it's very well done. It's a long horror movie too. It's, most are like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It's longer than the first Conjuring, which is even longer than most horror films. And
how long are we talking?
I think like 2.5 hours.
Damn.
Wow.
It was almost too long. It could have been cut down a little bit. But it's a long horror film.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, anyway, so it ups the game, it ups the scares. Sometimes it's a little cheesy. Sometimes it's like, there's a couple times where I was like, okay, how did that kid right in that bed next to the other bed not hear this screaming go on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That type of thing. But it does it in a really interesting way, and they use like practical effects, like almost these puppeteering effects on some of the spirits, which is really cool. So I love the effects. And then, like I said, it's also heartwarming and about this couple, and continues their story, and like it strengthens their bond as they experience this horrific thing together. And I just like want to keep watching them like do other cases, like to keep doing horror cases as like this couple who like overcomes everything no matter what. And it's I don't know, it's great. It's so great. Everyone should watch it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta check it out.
I can't stop raving about it. It might make my top 10 this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about The Lobster? Is that going to make your top 10, you think?
I think it might too. I did love that movie too. And that one's I like that one. I can give that one credit because it's a wholly original movie.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. So that adds a little bit more points to it.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, we're throwing out, top 10s out here.
Yeah. So far it's in my top 10.
Nice.
But it's not the end of the year yet, so who knows? Could get pushed out, could stay in. We'll see.
I don't really have anything else.
Revolving top 10, or it's just like a few on the list?
I keep a list throughout the year of all the movies I see of that year.
Okay.
And I kind of vaguely place them on this ongoing list. Like, I like this one a little bit more than this one. Place it here. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And then at the end of the year, I kind of reassess and like, definitely this one, definitely that one, and then go and kind of like rank them from there. Always try and do a top 10, especially now that since we do the podcast.
Got a reason to do it now.
Got a reason to. We'll do a top 10 of 2016. We got to do that.
For sure. Definitely.
But, yeah. So, I've been ranting a lot. We're kind of ongoing. Is there any other things you wanted to mention?
Not really. That's pretty much all I've watched. Rewatched Hail Caesar. Liked it. It was good.
Do you like it second viewing?
Yeah. I mean, I liked it first viewing, too. It cracked it a little bit more. Still don't, I honestly still want to watch it again. Probably going to watch it again soon. But yeah.
It's a movie I want to keep rewatching, yeah.
Yeah, it's real good. Like it a lot.
Cool, man. Very briefly, I've seen the first few episodes of the new Bloodline season, season 2. Love season 1. It's a Netflix show.
Yeah.
It was shot in the Keys. Pretty awesome. Very slow drama that kind of slowly builds and becomes very intense at the end. And the stakes are super high right now in season 2. I like where it's going. So I'll probably talk about that more in another episode as I continue to watch it. But
nice.
It's good. Bloodline's good. Yeah.
Gotta check it out.
You gotta go check it out. All right, so
Warcraft?
If that's it, let's go right into our review of Warcraft, starting right now.
If we do not unite to fight this enemy, our world will perish.
Saving the world is not a one-man job.
We fight together or we die together.
You'll have me to protect you.
I need no one to protect me.
Well then. They're stronger. Be smarter.
This war will destroy us all. But together, we might stand a chance.
All right, so that was from the trailer of Warcraft. I'm going to read a brief synopsis from IMDb. The peaceful realm of Azeroth stands on the brink of war as its civilization faces a fearsome race of invaders, orc warriors fleeing their dying home to colonize another. As a portal opens to connect the two worlds, one army faces destruction as the other faces extinction. From opposing sides, two heroes are set on a collision course that will decide the fate of their family, their people, and their home. This was directed by Duncan Jones and has been in the works for probably 12 years. I think they've been trying to make this movie.
Been a long time. Sam Raimi was attached at one point, right?
Sam Raimi was attached at one point. It passed several writers and directors and landed on Duncan Jones, and finally got released. And it's doing really well in China. Actually, fantastic in China. It's making tons of money.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Is making money here, doing less so, and has not gotten the greatest reviews. Critics aren't liking it, but fans are pretty much enjoying it. So with that being said, let's start with you, Bojo. What are your general thoughts about the movie? How do you feel about it?
All right. Knowing the most, I feel like a lot of the aesthetics of the movie were fantastic. Like the architecture and the design, all was spot on. It was kind of overdone, like grandiose and stuff. But because of ways they had to show things in the old RTS games, they've just kept that same art style. So while it's kind of ridiculous, I think it also makes it their world, and I feel like that kind of helps it out for a fantasy. Past that, though, I think the plot, as soon as it starts, it's just is already sprinting, and it takes you a bit to get caught up with what's going on. I think part of it's because I read they cut 40 minutes of the film, so that's like a fourth of the movie.
Totally.
But it seems a little disjointed towards the beginning, and it picks up towards the end, becoming more cohesive. The humans are less interesting than the orcs. But past that, I thought the film did a fantastic job. It stayed true to the lore more than I've seen any video game movie that I can think of. The magic was awesome. I thought it did a very good job with showing that, making it silly and still interesting without being too cheesy.
You're a pretty decent fan of it. You also knew a lot of the characters too. You understood kind of the lore that was happening.
Yeah.
Right, and
because for the Warcraft series, it started off as a real-time strategy, and I want to say 94. So it's been around for a long time. And I played the first 3 games, the real-time strategies, and then I played WoW when it came out. And I filtered into the first 2 expansions, and I kind of quit because as a fan of all the lore they built up, I felt like World of Warcraft was just slowly taking the iconic heroes and just ruining them for raid bosses. And so the story just really plummeted, and I gave up. But I forgot the point of this.
But you like the original stories.
Yeah, but so I really enjoyed the real-time strategy games. Replaying the first one is pretty terrible, and you can see that their storytelling really improved throughout the games. So I'm excited to see future iterations of the movie, because I assume with China buying all the tickets, they will at least make another one.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate them starting with the beginning, though, because I also saw other reviews arguing that they should have started further in the storyline when things were more exciting. But I feel like it's for me personally, it's kind of the difference between Marvel and DC, where Marvel laid the groundwork. It maybe was kind of slow and too much, but then DC is just trying to jump straight into like, here's all of our stuff. And so like I think they're trying to go for that slow build. And I think that's also, that's what they did with the games. That's why WoW is huge.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a formula that works, and maybe this isn't the greatest one, but it will keep getting better.
Nice.
What about you, Zach?
I feel like I don't know anything about the games. I'll say that. I haven't really played any of them. So I think I played the first one like a little bit, but not like through. Like I didn't have it, I just played every now and again.
Right.
But I will say the design of everything from what I've seen of the games is like really spot on. And it just it seems like they were very concerned about the lore and like keeping everything like the games, which I feel like they should have been. But it just wasn't enough for me because I don't know that already. So like a lot of the characters, like I didn't really like get into. Like the main character, I don't remember his name, but like the main dude, bearded man, rides on the griffin thing.
Human guy.
Lothar.
Yeah, Lothar. It's like I don't really know anything about him, so like I guess he's a cool guy, but that could work with a better performance, and I guess I just didn't like the performances. Like I didn't think he was very good. I didn't really like the guy who played the king. I especially did not like the guy who played the like young mage man.
Khadgar.
Yeah. But that being said, like I did have fun watching it. Probably more than I thought I was going to. And at first the CG orcs were like, this is rough. And also seeing the one who is the one orc half human, right? And half orc. She's like a half breed.
Yeah, she's half.
That was jarring at first because I was like, why is there one? There's one.
That's a
like,
human.
yeah, it's like because like the main orc's like wife or whatever. I understand from a standpoint of like, well, we can't make. They look so specific in the games.
Right.
I feel like they do look like they do in the games from what I've seen. They got like the big broad shoulders and they're like really thick and like giant, And I get that you can't get that as much with a guy in a suit, but like the woman orc just seemed like she had makeup on. Like you could have done that with a makeup. But then I realized that, she was a half-breed, so that, I guess, is justified, but also...
It wasn't that clear, though.
Yeah, it was... They could have just, like, said that.
It's kind of mentioned, but it wasn't quite clear. We don't know, and it's never said where she comes from.
Yeah, and I guess that was a thing that I just thought was strange, that, like, why is there this mystery behind the character? Is this something that's going to come in future installments? Like, I don't know. But it seems like they could have just, like, explained some things, I guess, in the universe.
Yeah.
Like, I think they knew their fan base were people, mainly people who play Warcraft. So I feel like a lot of that is, like, taken, like, when you're going, you're going to see the story of, like, these characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not knowing, it was kind of like, all right, who's this guy? Like, what's going on here? Like you were saying, like, it took a while to, like, catch up with everything that was going on,
Yeah. It kind of felt to me kind of like I stepped into like a season 2 of a show I'd never seen before.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? Which I wholly, well, first off, let me just say, overall it was okay. It was better than I thought it would be. The critic reviews are a little harsh, I think. Mm-hmm. That being said, I've actually played some of the Warcraft games, not to the extent that you have, Bojo, but I've played Warcraft 2 a little bit. I played a little bit of World of Warcraft, not like a crazy fan, and I still had a really difficult time, like, just trying to understand what was happening.
And, like, why things.
And, like, why. Yeah. Why was it happening? And I really went into an open mind, and I had a decent time watching it. I just didn't understand the story, and I didn't quite understand the characters. I don't quite think the casting was correct.
I agree.
Like the main character, I get that I think he's cool on Vikings. People like them on there, but I don't think he was a good cast for this. It was weird having Ben
Foster.
What's his name? Ben Foster play the mage.
Yeah.
Thought that was strange. Not that he was bad. I just don't think he was the right cast for it.
Which mage is that? Medivh or Khadgar?
It was
Medivh,
the guy
I
that
think.
turned evil.
Yeah.
Medivh. Okay.
Medivh.
It felt like a very like 2003 decision, and I feel like it also felt like a very 2003 movie. If that makes sense.
It did a little.
And I don't know why I'm latching on to like 2003 specifically. I just like early 2000s, like when they, it's like this movie's been in development for that long. It feels like that because it feels like you're watching a movie that came out then. Not necessarily technically, but just like it just has that sort of feeling to it somehow. I don't really know how to describe it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I also think that the film suffers from some of the things that should be more important, like when they're listing like all of the towns that are being attacked.
Yeah.
They never really establish where any of these places are. Whereas like if you played War of the Warcraft, you would know.
Yeah, because you
But
would.
anyone who doesn't have that prior knowledge, it's just like, all right, well that's a handful of villages. That sounds bad.
Yeah.
Right.
And they just do
I
that
don't,
like one helicopter shot of like village, village burning, like.
And I can't necessarily fault it for just like throwing a fully built world at us, which, at the same time, it's like at the base level, I appreciate that because it's a fully built world that I'm walking into. However, I didn't get any like introduction to it.
Yeah.
And even as someone who kind of knows about Blizzard's games, I still felt lost. Like I just need to need a little bit more introduction into what this world is, what it is, like why these people are doing these things. Why are mages just throwing spells around? I don't know anything,
Yeah.
And it kind of assumes that you already know everything, which is fine if you're a fan, but I think if you want to reach a broader audience, especially getting out of like such a niche market, you need to at least try and establish who the characters are and get you to care about them. Because I thought the main character, the guy, again, wrong cast, but he was cool. He had like cool scars on his face. He like clearly went through some shit. But there was some lore. Yeah, there's some lore behind him that I didn't understand or know him. And if I didn't know him, I don't care about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my only real qualm with it is like, I just don't think that the story was quite built up enough for people who didn't understand the story. But I did like what you guys said. The design was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved I almost wish the entire film was CG. Like the games, like in the intro, like at each of the games they had those like cinematics. If it was just like that,
than this.
Would have been kind of cool.
I would have rather just seen it be, because it gets to a point where like there's so little actual things happening here. Like, did you guys see it in 3D or 2D?
I saw it in both.
You saw them both?
Yeah. Oh, nice.
He saw it twice. I saw it in only 2D.
Okay, I saw it in 3D. And
how was that?
It was good because there's already so much compositing and CG going on that like. That's usually what's distracting, is that it's making things look fake, But when everything's fake, then like I don't mind it as much.
Right. Exactly.
But it got to a point where I was like, is all this fake? Like when they're like meeting and like doing the kings like planning their army, they're like where they're striking and they're in that room. It's like, is this whole room fake? Like I can't tell. Is that fake? Right. Is this a set? Like, I don't know. Like, there are scenes where it's definitely like, well, this is a set. Like, the mage's room is a set.
Right.
But it was just, like, everything's so overlit because there's so much, stuff. I'm assuming all these markers and tracking and stuff that needs to be done for all these, like, CG characters and stuff. That,
which they did do, motion tracking for, which was I think a smart move.
Yeah, totally.
In that respect, but
for sure.
But still, I think it's you almost need to go one or the other. You need to either go for this particular case, go full CG or go full realism.
And not necessarily even
or
full
more realism,
but just like
right.
Make the guy in the suit, and if you claim that they can't emote the way you want to, CG face guy in a suit. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of silly because I don't know if it's because I grew up with these Blizzard cinematics, but in scenes where they have the orcs and maybe magic, and then having the big fantastical human armor, the human almost seemed like he's the one that didn't belong in the scene.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
When it's like, that's the most real thing there.
Yeah. He felt out of place because everything else was, and the style is cartoony.
Exactly.
But that's Blizzard. That's fine. It was totally very Blizzard, their games, which I like. That's fine. Keep your style. But having like a real human thrown into it, everything else is so cartoony and so CG. Having him thrown in there, it kind of throws everything off. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
feels odd.
It just feels weird that especially in that first scene where they're introducing all the orcs, and there's the one human like half orc, and you're just like, that person is like the only thing that's real on screen right now, and it's almost distracting. Like I think I would rather watch like a fully CG Warcraft movie.
Yeah, I think I would. Kind of like Beowulf,
Yeah, but
like
I'm
the Beowulf movie was
the technology is going to be like so much better, like a better Beowulf.
Right. Yeah, like a way better Beowulf, like a more modern version of that. And like we've seen those cinematics before the games. They look so good.
Yeah.
And those that transferred a little bit to the orcs. And I was watching some of the scenes of the orc scenes. It was like, oh, this is awesome. I could live in this world, This is cool. And it's totally their style, the broad shoulders. And then you have like the main villain guy who's like a orc mage who so Blizzard. Like that's their style with like the big spikes and the skulls on them, and he like has the glowy eyes and the staff.
And their like tusks are pierced and all this like weird stuff. And
totally. Like, that's fine. Keep that. But then you go to the humans, and there's like a real person, and like it almost looks like they're like just clearly playing dress up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It makes
like
it feel really false.
Yeah, these people are just like playing dress up. It didn't quite feel like they were immersed in the world that they were playing in.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then also, there's the one, or I can get into this in spoilers. I was about to spoil something, so never mind.
Okay, save that thought then. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I can say about the film. It's non-spoilerish.
For small things, I think some things were amusing that they were like very detailed for, because since the lore is so expansive.
Totally.
I was looking this up later, but like the head archmage guy, he's an actual character in book or in the story. Medivh's assistant is an actual character and everything.
Man.
When they show them like landing their griffin in Stormwind, in WoW, that is where the flight waypoint is, and so like that's where your flying mount would go anyways. So they have like a lot of small detail things that I think is amusing that they still held true to those.
Yeah, totally.
There was definitely some Easter eggs in there as well.
Oh yeah,
it was kind of cool. Like I played briefly I briefly played World of Warcraft, and I know that like having the griffins was like, that's how you travel from city to city. Seeing Stormwind, it's like, oh shit, that's where the town is where I've like walked through before, and it's cool seeing that stuff and like having a world that I've spent time in kind of come to a different medium and kind of live out in a certain way. I just wish that things were just explained a little bit more. But you do have, as a fan, I think, if you're a fan and you know the world, this movie's made for you.
Totally.
Like you'll kind of understand a little bit more, and it definitely calls out to those things for the fans,
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed it as a fan. I'm excited for the extended edition because I'm curious that extra 40 minutes because I do know there are some flaws with the thing, but like in Lord of the Rings, when you have the extended edition, Boromir and Faramir go from being just such trash characters to like you caring so deeply about them. And I hope that some of these scenes fix that.
Totally.
Because I assume since the humans are the normal and you can relate to them easier, their parts were cut the most, which is why I think the orcs is so much more like everyone likes them better and the humans seem paper thin.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that fixes some of the problems.
Yeah, for
but still,
sure.
like as a fan, you see so many things that are just interesting. Because like they had a pretty big name character right next to the big evil orc guy, like Blackhand, like not the warlock, but the actual like general guy. And like he didn't even say a line the entire movie, but he's a huge figure in lore.
Yeah.
And they're
so
just like,
that's
man, we'll deal with that later.
yeah. So like plant the seed, got to get him in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
totally.
cool that they spend that much. There's that much detail in like moving the franchise to a movie.
Yeah, and it's a movie made by the fans too. You know, you have people who've played hours on World of Warcraft and Warcraft who took part actively in this film. And I actually listened to an interview with Duncan Jones about the movie, kind of promoting it, not too long ago. And he was talking about how there was just fans who sent in fan artwork over to Blizzard, and Blizzard was like, "This is like really good. We want you to work on our movie."
What? That's insane.
And there was a couple guys. One of them was from China. World of Warcraft is huge over there. But they brought him in to be like an art consultant on the film because he sent in like this fantastic artwork, you know. So it's cool that it's built by fans and it's made for fans. But I just I just think if they just focused a little bit more attention on building that world for people who do not know anything about it, may have been a little bit more successful with the critics.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think just also a more successful movie in general.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like also World of Warcraft fans would probably like it more, too. Not necessarily if it was just explaining everything again, but, like, the movie's just gonna be good if the characters are better, you know?
Yeah, just set it up. Just make me care about them. I don't know who they are, so I don't care about them yet.
And
so
I would be interested to see the new cut that you were talking about, because there does feel like some weird pacing things. Like there's some definite pacing issues where it felt cut, you know. It felt like there was stuff missing. So
yeah, it felt like there was stuff missing for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I want this movie to succeed. I want this movie to be great because I like fantasy. I like the fantasy genre.
Let's get more fantasy things.
You know, I've played D&D most of my life and Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy, and I love Lord of the Rings. I've read the books and I've played Warcraft. Like, I love fantasy. And this is a genre that it's not very much explored in movies. We don't have very many of them. I would love to see more fantasy movies, you know?
Definitely.
And it's great. So I want to support this type of thing, but you also have to go into it smart, and you have to go into it just setting it up and not just completely relying on the lore that exists elsewhere. You have to give it to us in that medium on screen. So yeah, basically that's all. All right, so let's move right into spoilers then. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, spoilers for Warcraft starting right now.
Whatever you plan to do, do it now!
So, as someone who played the game, Bojo, how close is the storyline to, like, because it's based off the first game, right? Like this movie?
Most of the first game, and then kind of some, I won't call them retcons, but they have a book series, and I think they kind of went back and beefed up those sections.
Okay.
Because in the game, you pretty much just have like the orcs come through and they're trying to take everything, and then you as the humans repel them. Like Lothar still's a character, Garona's a character, but they don't ever get into those in-depth like conversations and interactions.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of implied, and you see them more in like the second game. But like for lore, they did keep the movie very, very close, and I appreciated that. I mean, I thought it was a good story to begin with, so I was happy to see them not have to like need to change a lot. The only character I think I know of that they completely made up was the Queen, and I don't think her role was bad at all. I mean, you know, because it was a war game, so there's no need for like the king's girlfriend. She's just there. So I thought that was a good addition as well.
Interesting. I didn't understand kind of like how that young mage, like what was his role in the movie? I thought he was kind of just like a means to an end to show the magic, but then there was also Ben Foster who was playing magic, and then he turned evil for no reason.
Well, there was a reason. He was... Because, I mean, again, I think because of the cut, they didn't do a very good job explaining it, but he was already corrupted by the Fel magic.
Okay.
He's the one who basically opened the portal from the human side for the orcs to come through, because it was a two-way effort. He's the one in...
So he helped out the orcs to open up the portal.
In old lore, he's the one who contacts Gul'dan, the orc warlock, being like, hey, you can come over to this planet and take it.
So the orcs are from a different planet?
Yes, it's an entirely different planet.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the human world is called
I got that
Azeroth.
it was from a different world, but prior to the movie, I didn't know that orcs, like in Warcraft lore, I didn't realize. I didn't know they were from a different planet. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's basically a medieval alien invasion story.
Interesting. That kind of makes it cooler in a way.
Yeah, totally.
Especially because, like, I really enjoyed that Warcraft movie. It didn't make any real team the bad guy, because the games did that too, where it's like the orcs' homeworld was dying because of like the Fel magic and the warlocks and stuff, but most of the orcs are oblivious. So they're just like, our world sucks, it's dying. Here's a portal to a new world. We fight for everything anyway, so let's just go fight for this new world. Yeah. And it's not really like a malicious thing, it's just survival.
That's kind of their culture, right?
Yeah.
It's like war. So Fel magic, is that basically like demon magic?
That is directly demon magic.
Okay. Got it.
Because kind of an extra layer of spoiler, when Medivh walked into the fount of magic and he started transforming and grew all these spikes and these things from his face, he was like the avatar of a demon named Sargeras, who is the one that corrupted Medivh and Gul'dan and like helped set all this into motion.
Okay.
And he becomes a bigger character later on as well, but he was kind of like transforming to that iconic Fel demon look that they have.
Right.
And so that was cool.
Which we saw a little bit of.
Also, another fun Easter egg that I saw somebody talking about was when Khadgar then like pulled the demon magic from him and his magic went all gold for a second. That was him leveling up, because that's kind of what it looks like when you level up.
That's funny.
So I thought that was
amazing. Like that. I didn't realize that, but that's cool.
I didn't catch that myself. I just thought it was like him being like super holy magic. It was just like, he was like, he leveled up.
Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, see, that's cool. I mean, that's cool that it's like it's calling out that for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little Easter eggs like that.
I mean, even like the little Murloc guy from Hearthstone.
I had to look it up, but apparently in the background you can see like a potion shop in Stormwind City. There's like a poster board, I think, where you can get some quests. They have like the hilariously gigantic mailboxes you can go to.
That's funny. See, that's all stuff that people, if you've ever played the game, would recognize.
Yeah. But also going back to how they had that big name orc who like they never named, didn't even have a line in this film. I kind of appreciate that, because like with the new Star Wars film, like I loved it, but like sometimes they're like, look, R2-D2, we're just gonna hold on him for a second, and like you can just tell they're trying to like play into that. Whereas like the Warcraft movie is just like, we don't have time. look at that guy, he's cool, and we're moving on.
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
Yeah, he's there. But if you wished to delve deeper, he has a story.
Oh, and he will have a bigger story coming forward.
Okay.
So I'm excited for some of the groundwork they laid.
Interesting.
Have you heard or what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Have you heard? I don't know if Duncan Jones said this in the interview you listened to, but just like how happy he is with the movie. Like obviously he got 40 minutes cut, so like that's got to be a bummer.
You know, he didn't talk too much about his personal feelings about the film.
I feel like he can at this point. Probably,
he couldn't, and it was before it got released. I listened to the interview. So he's just promoting it. He's like, go out and see it before it comes out.
Yeah,
yeah. But he talked about, he basically just very much relied on this. You know, this was made by fans. This was made for fans. Basically, just kept talking about that and how anyone who's played the games would appreciate all the things that we've done. We've worked so hard, and you know, I believe that they totally have.
Yeah, for sure.
And he talked about how it was exciting to be on these sets, and he played World of Warcraft, so he was a fan, so he nerded out like while he was directing and loved every minute of it. And that's really what the interview was about. Just promoting the movie.
Yeah.
And go see it. He never said anything negative about it.
Yeah. I was just curious, but I guess he can't because it's like he's got this super high budget movie coming out. He can't be like, yeah,
very high
studio
budget film
fucked me over. Like,
yeah. See, I don't know what of his decisions were exactly his decisions based on like maybe the company's decisions.
I guess I'm just curious to like how much what the percentage of the pie he had in like control, you know.
I'm curious too because it doesn't feel like a Duncan Jones movie.
Yeah,
Not that
but like
he's like made a lot of movies.
What does his movies
like,
feel like though?
That's true. I mean, he made Source Code, right? And he made Moon.
Yeah. So I guess those are a little more connected.
But did you see any of those moments in this movie?
Because they're.
Well, I've seen Moon.
I didn't either.
Seen Source Code. Are they built on anything like pre-existing?
I don't know.
Because I think the issue is, for better or for worse, Warcraft has so much of an extensive background that to do it properly, I don't know if he could influence it that much.
Yeah, it's like, especially if you're going off a story
true.
of like just the story of the game. It's
he inherited an entire world.
Yeah, it's
that
like
was already pre-made.
It'd be different if like when they made episode 7 or whatever, they're just like, we're throwing out all the EU, like we're just gonna do our own thing. Like if they were making a Warcraft movie and like we're making it in the universe, but it's like a new story, then maybe it would have been more like
his style.
Yeah. Which also
he might have just
still don't really know what it is, but what were you saying?
He might have just been playing more of like, I don't want to say puppet because that sounds bad, but more of like just like kind of doing his best like with this entire world that he was given.
Playing in someone else's sandbox.
But he also knows the world too, so that's why he was also given the job because he's a fan.
Totally.
So he's like, he's probably just trying to be faithful to that world, you know. Trying to just do his best for that.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think for that, though, I think he did a great job. Because I had gotten rocky on watching this movie at first, because when it was announced, it seemed like it was going to be a WoW movie. And it's like, well, that's cool and all, but there's not a lot of story in WoW. Whereas the old Warcraft games had a lot, and hearing him speak about it, he was referencing those and seemed like he has played them, and they're still like fresh, he like knows about them.
Yeah.
And so, like, hearing him talk about that made me more interested in it because, again, I think WoW is just, it's become all over the place trying to make storylines for every team, every race, and then no one pays attention to it anyways.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of watery background.
That being said, though, I would be interested in, like, if this does become a franchise and, like, they exceed, you know, not that they're going to run out of story, but like a more small scale, like 5 adventurers thing, you know, which I guess is just basically like Lord of the Rings, but
yeah, like Lord of the Rings D&D type style.
But yeah, it just seems like because I mean, I feel like that would be like that would be more of a WoW movie because that's how you play that game, whereas like Warcraft, you're playing with like actual armies.
But I think it goes back to you guys were talking about the was it small scale, big scale thing?
Yeah.
Whereas I think that could really still work if you just focus on like an individual story.
Totally.
Rather than like we gotta save the world every time.
Yeah, or like
right,
or like setting.
If they just focus on like a small band of characters.
Yeah,
setting a story like that. Like if you took the story from this Warcraft movie, and it was just that was happening, but it was about 5 people like delivering an object or something. You know what I mean? Like going on concurrently with everything else.
Right.
I feel like that could be. I would enjoy that.
Yeah. Again, I like fantasy. I want to see fantasy movies. So.
Yeah, I think that was also another big thing is even though Warcraft had some shortcomings, it had that opening where you're just like, there's not enough fantasy. So like you kind of give it some passes too because you're just like, there's no other movies like this.
Yeah, totally.
No one takes these chances to make these just like fun popcorn fantasy flicks.
Totally. You give it some passes. You're like, I want to support movies like this. I want more of these.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So that definitely helps it.
I mean,
sorry, what were you gonna say, Zach?
I'm just was gonna reiterate that I just want to see that director's cut, basically. Just felt like
I hope it really adds like a lot more, because if it I'd be very happy if it just like added like so much more detail.
Yeah.
And explain some things, because I mean, I really was just honestly like I was lost a lot of the movie, and I even turned to you one time, and just like I didn't know what was happening, and then I didn't understand like why these guys were like turning like to the dark side, so to speak. I understand that the one guy had already done this thing to like turn against his people. He opened up the portal, Ben Foster's character, but like I don't know. It just some things just didn't quite make sense. Like, what is the motivation for these people?
Yeah.
And then like, why are they doing these things? And like, why do I care about them? I don't know.
It almost
and like the main character too. He had the look down.
Yeah.
I just don't think his acting was quite for this particular part.
Totally.
I just didn't understand why I should follow this guy at all.
Yeah, I like what's his name, Travis Flimmel? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Vikings a few seasons. He has a weird way of inflict. That's not the right word to say that.
Inflecting.
Yeah, his words. So he like says things kind of weird, and I think it makes sense for his Vikings character because it makes him seem kind of unstable.
Yeah.
But it felt like he pulled too much of that into this role, where it's just like now it just seems like you're kind of talking funny, and it loses some of the like inflections of like why like his emotions and stuff. I thought that was like kind of off-putting.
Yeah,
that's like another thing that kind of like fed into the whole thing where not only did the humans feel off from the rest of the movie, it also felt like they were just like playing dress up. Like there were these people that had like these fake beards on, and they're in this CG green screen world, and
also,
here they are with this ridiculously fake armor.
Also, like the main guy that we were just talking about, like had these weird injections of like modern humor that were just like,
yeah.
Would this be around in this like fantasy world? Like everyone else is speaking very much like they're in a fantasy world, like except for him, you know.
Right.
As a fan, I can only say it's 50-50 because they have a lot of weird modern references, jokes throughout their entire series.
Oh yeah, Blizzard is very. Honestly, I think it almost should have had more. Blizzard is very. I mean, Blizzard Entertainment games are very silly. Their style is cartoony. It's they have pun jokes. They have weird gnomes that like throw shit at each other, and like dwarves that are hilarious. There should have been a little bit more of that. Almost. Like, this is one thing I forgot to mention earlier. It took itself a little bit too seriously, I think.
I don't know.
I feel like it should have been more silly. Yeah.
I mean, I
don't
could have stood for it to be more silly, but I just don't know
like I
where
wanted
it
to
would
laugh
fit
more
in this story, you know.
Well, I just didn't like laugh or feel as much like humor as I thought I would. Mm-hmm. It's a silly, cartoony world with like serious issues like war, but like I don't know. Like I just most of the time I was kind of just like watching and like observing, and I was just like didn't quite understand what was going on. Mm-hmm. And there was like a couple moments where they like cracked some jokes, like an orc threw a stone at another orc and like laughed for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Dude threw a horse, I think it was. He just threw a whole horse and hit a human. And an orc girl's just like, ha 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 ha!
Yeah. I want more of that.
Yeah.
I feel like it should have had more of that. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean?
I think it's a weird off thing, though, is they've always been very serious with their stories, but because of the old format with the real-time strategy, there was so much time of just like you're just building and fighting with armies that they put like all the jokes in, like, because you could click on units multiple times and they would just go through lists of silly things. Well, it started off like them being like an annoyed character, and then sometimes they'd say silly things, and the jokes escalated from there. But
they could have just had like more lines. Their lines are already there. They already exist in the world. Just use those.
Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe because of the cut it well, they were trying to get so much of the main story, and they didn't have time for the banter to really make the characters feel more alive.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's like you never got to see them being well-rounded. It was just like, I have to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because of cutting down time.
I hope. I mean, I'm making a lot of excuses because I'm biased and I want it to be a great film. Mm-hmm. But from what was released in theater, it does have a lot of huge gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the end, it kind of just like felt a little empty.
Yeah.
I will say, though, probably a lot better than most video game movies I've seen.
You know, it's not a hard bar to reach.
Because I was like sitting here like racking my brain trying to think of like one other good like video game
Second
movie.
best, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat? It's like, it's so bad it's good type of thing.
I feel like, but that also, Mortal Kombat was like before like the whole video game movie thing like took off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was like a weird outlier case where it was like it came together in a interesting.
Yeah.
You know. But like,
like totally.
Uwe Boll, I feel like was just making all the video game movies just like Blood Rain, like ugh. You know what I mean?
Forever ago, when they first announced the movie, U-Boll was trying to get it, and Blizzard set out an official statement being like, "There's no way in hell we're gonna have U-Boll make our film because
he's so bad.
Just putting him on the title means we're gonna have a bad film.
Yeah,
and we're trying to actually make a good movie.
Yeah. It's hysterical.
There aren't many. I'm hoping that Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender might be. It may be that one movie, but it could fail too. Video game movies are they have a bad stigma.
Mm.
Yeah, and Ubisoft's last game movie was Prince of Persia, and that didn't do well.
It's true.
And Jake Gyllenhaal is getting back with Ubisoft, and he's going to be in the Division movie.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, I think I heard that game has been doing bad, though.
Oh, yeah, it dropped 93% population.
Yeah.
Whoa. Everyone just got out
I saw
of there.
there was like a whole...
Everyone was just like, this game sucks, and they left.
Damn.
I was watching a video from Extra Credits, who talk about games a lot, and they were talking about the mechanics of the Division, where like if you play it, it feels like a weird like government propaganda game.
Really?
Because like the whole time it's like, oh, go kill these scumbag thugs, and they're just like wearing hoodies. They never explain what they're doing. It just seems like they're like stealing to just like have food, and it's like just shoot them in the head. It doesn't matter.
Jesus.
You're the government. You can do what you want. It's like
Jesus
what?
Christ. I haven't played the game, but I considered buying it. I never did.
I did want it.
I definitely stopped after I heard all the reviews and people just like backlashing it now. Perfect time to make a movie on it.
Yeah, totally.
Am I right?
Video game movies
Jeez.
have a great track record. You know, it's going to be a win. Everyone wants it.
No, seriously, what other like video game movies like
You want good
Tomb
ones,
Raider?
Yeah,
It's
Tomb
not
Raider.
good.
Tomb Raider, Blood Rain, Resident Evil.
Yeah.
There was an old Street Fighter film.
Street Fighter has a cult following.
It's so bad.
I've never seen them. I'm sure they're terrible.
It's fun bad. It's like, I think it's good now because it's like an early 90s film.
Yeah.
That it's just so bad. It's great to watch.
I mean, you got Jean-Claude. That you got a little
Yeah.
something there.
I heard the other one that didn't have Jean-Claude Damme
right,
was
they made a
actually
second
good in
one.
it. What was it called?
I don't remember. I just know they made a sequel.
There's
and-
another one that without him that's supposedly like people like. I've never seen any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to struggle for more gay movies. There was The Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia did bomb.
Hitman.
Yeah, I never even saw that one.
Need for Speed.
Hitman.
Right.
Need for Speed.
Max Payne.
Oh yeah, I forgot about like all of these
Yeah.
because they were so bad. I didn't even go see
Yeah,
them.
you just bury them in your mind because they're going to be awful.
Speaking of video game movies, they're gonna make a Tetris movie.
How?
Not only a Tetris movie, they're already said we're making a Tetris trilogy. Trilogy.
Are they going to introduce the perfect 4 blocks in like the third movie, like some big reveal? like how are you going to make a Tetris movie? Unless it's going to be like
And
Tron,
a Tetris
people
trilogy.
playing Tetris like in a live setting or something. But still, like,
Here's how
who
you make it.
cares?
How cool would it be to have like a Tetris trilogy, but have it like not like in the game, like a stupid video game movie, but have it be like an imitation game type of thing, where it's like these guys like have to use Tetris to like send messages, Cold War messages to each other or some shit, and it's like
Long shots
like
of people playing Tetris being like, we need to move. He's like, I'm trying. I gotta clear them.
Oh, he used the backwards L and the cube. It must mean that we must go this way.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a conduit to like other plot. You know what I mean?
All right, they're
I'd
missing,
be down for that.
They're missing a serious gold mine here with something. It was just fact because it's Tetris. It's Tetra 4. All the blocks are 4. How can you settle for a trilogy?
It's true.
It needs to be a 4 film.
This is a great point. There has to be
Series.
4 movies.
You're
Yes.
too smart for Hollywood, Bojo.
Which is sad because I'm not that smart.
I don't know. Hopefully, Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender might be good. You guys ever played Assassin's Creed?
I've played the first one.
I'm a
and
decent fan of
maybe
them.
the first third of the second.
I've played a lot of them. Not all of them. I've played the first 3. Then there were some expansions I didn't play. And I played the pirate version, which Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That was the last one I played. They're kind of all the same.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a cool concept. The fact and they seem to be playing up a lot more on the whole it takes place in modern time or future times aspect, where it's a guy hacking into a game, but they're trying to make it different than the Matrix, to where he like actually performs all the functions.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. In the trailer, they have Michael Fassbender kind of like on these suspenders with a blade in his hand, which is not in the game at all. Like you just sit in this bed and you're just like kind of like you literally like, hack into the Matrix.
Yeah.
But in this one, they're kind of like trying to make it to where he's like actively
Trying to make it
making the
not
moves.
like the Matrix.
More like virtual reality. Really, he's like in a virtual reality world. But it makes no sense because it's like he's hacking into the blood of his ancestors. This isn't real technology.
This is why just like video game movies are hard to make work. Because it's like,
Yeah.
how in a movie do you have a scene where he hacks into the blood of his ancestor? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like,
and is an assassin in this world. Like he goes back in time in his own blood. That makes no sense.
yeah, it's just.
Well, he's not technically time traveling. He's just somehow weirdly unlocking the memories
Right.
of his ancestors, because that makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And you get up to 100% correction of how he actually unlocks the memories.
Although I'm still biased, Assassin's Creed is just a less awesome version of a Prince of Persia.
In a way.
They stole so many mechanics from the game.
They did.
And they killed that story one. Although I am excited, in the trailer they kept the most ridiculous thing from Assassin's Creed. And they show him dive bombing off of like this 200-foot tower into
the leap
like,
of faith.
Yeah, a hay, like a pile of hay.
Doesn't transfer to film version.
No, still doesn't.
Yeah, I just missed the trailer in front of Warcraft. I like walked in, I saw like hashtag Assassin's Creed, and I was like, "There's an Assassin's Creed movie? It's crazy." I didn't know it was Michael Fassbender either.
I do like the Fassbender, so that's the only thing that's like keeping me attached. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
See, I'm still saying I think Warcraft is more to the story, whereas I think Assassin's Creed will take more liberties, but that might be an improvement because
it's almost trying to take it in its own direction. Is what it's trying to do.
Because there's not nearly as much material to pull from.
Yeah, not as quite.
It's not.
The thing is, it's making it in its own. Because most of the games kind of explore a different part of history. Mm-hmm. So you have like the Renaissance and the Spanish. But this one is the Spanish Inquisition, which is not in the games. And so it's already its own thing. It's a different guy who plays the assassin, hacks into the Animus, as it's called, basically the Matrix. And so I don't know. It might go way off the rails to where it might work for a movie. Or it may just go too much to where it just doesn't work.
I think I know why they chose it.
Yeah.
No one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition.
It's true. No one ever did. Oh, man. All right, so any other thoughts on Warcraft?
Not really. That's about it.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I feel like we glossed over a bunch. But
we pretty much glossed it. I might have missed a couple things, but I think it's...
I still thought the orcs fantastic. They had the best characterizations. Duratan was nice. Draga didn't have much role. That was his wife. They mentioned his name twice, which bummed me out. But his friend was Orgrim Doomhammer, also becomes a big name character. And like literally, like they say his first name right in the beginning, and you don't hear it again until the very middle. And so it seems like you're trying to like hold it as like a secret. But anyone who's played the games knows who he is.
Yeah.
Anyone who hasn't is already oblivious. It's like, who are you hiding from?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm still excited to see the extended. I'm hoping for more.
I feel like it was just, it's definitely a movie for fans.
Yeah.
So
I think that is the issue.
It's like, who's this movie for? People who like Warcraft. So for me, and I'm not saying I dislike Warcraft or anything. Like they're games. I have nothing against them. They seem cool, but I just don't know them. So it didn't do much for me, like going in cold. I feel like it was definitely designed for fans who already played it.
Very much so. Because even as a fan, it was still a little jarring to follow it sometimes. You're like, okay, like, so they skipped this and now we're here. I got that.
Yeah.
And not having all that prior knowledge, I feel like I was surprised my fiance kept up with most of the things because she was oblivious to stories.
Right. Yeah. So I pretty much agree with that. I mean, I'm kind of like in the mid-level between the two of you. Zach, who hasn't really played. Bojo, you've played a lot. I've played a little bit, and I still was a little confused. So, that being said, we usually give a rating 1 to 5 stars.
Okay.
Of what you think the film kind of rates as for you. What would you rate it, Bojo?
Can we do half stars?
Yeah.
Yes. Half stars count.
I would go for like a pretty solid 3.5.
Okay.
I thought it was a solid film. It does have a lot of issues with pacing and the characters and letting you know what all is going on over in the world. But I think it feels the need for having a fantasy film. It's fun watching the orcs and humans fight and still like have their own characters. Magic was so much fun. I enjoyed the golem fight. That was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I think they did a lot of things right, and they set the ground for a potential even better second film. But by itself, with the current theatrical edition, it's just missing a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, so it's good to see. You know, it's not.
Yep.
It's passing, but just kind of.
Yeah.
Very fair. Zach, what would you give it?
I think I'm gonna give it a 2. And I don't like hate it or anything. I'm actually like, I've had fun watching it, but if that director's cut didn't exist, it would be like, I don't need to see this again, just because.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think.
And like,
Again, you don't know anything about the lore.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about the world. They didn't introduce it to you.
You kind of just thrown in there in not a purposeful way. Because sometimes in fantasy things and alternate universes, it's good to just throw you right in. You know, you're just in it.
Yep.
Like the new Mad Max movie. If you hadn't seen previous ones, you're just in this world. You're in the world. There you go. You know what I mean? But
that one was effective because you didn't have to know any of the other details.
exactly. And it's like trying that same principle, but there is a ton of stuff that you do need to know. You know?
Right.
Yeah, after hearing you say that, I kind of feel like maybe this should have been 2 films. Like, because the end goal was too high that to have it fit into here, they had to then possibly cut, a fourth of the film out.
Yeah, totally.
Where for pacing, it might have worked better if they just, like, had, like, a big battle that they're like, this will be the climax, and then had it go for, like, next movie, you then deal with the fallout, and then they go to make the launch on the Dark Portal.
Yeah.
And I think it's... Because, like, Lord of the Rings also has a huge world to build on.
Totally.
But when I watched Fellowship, not having read the books, I feel like I understood everything.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, with this film, very much having that game knowledge was extremely beneficial.
Totally.
And I do think, like, it's cool that there's all that stuff for the gamers who played it in there. Like, that's cool. And I'm glad that they are making it for them as opposed to... Because I feel like you can go 2 different ways with it. You can make it very specific and for the people who will see it, or you make it for everyone. And when something is made for everyone, it's never good, because then you alienate anyone who is interested. You know what I mean?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
It was just made for everybody.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
And it ruined my Warcraft lore.
Oh, I thought you were just saying, like, wow. Like, I didn't...
Oh, no. The game, wow.
Yeah. So, I feel like
I'm not trying to say your statements are bad.
I don't want it to be for everyone, because I like how specific it is, but it just needed to be for a little more than what it was.
Very much.
Fair enough.
What about you, Wes? What do you give it?
2.5. I was gonna say 2.5 before. That's just like the thing that came to mind for me, because I pretty much I can't say any more than what we've already been saying, to where I kind of understood the world a little bit more than Zach, but a little less than Bojo, and I just wish that there was a little bit more character development and to some of the protagonists that I was supposed to care about, but I just didn't, because I didn't understand why I'm supposed to care about them. And I also wish there was a little bit more humor for me. I wish there was a little bit more. The world was there, which I expected, and I thought the visuals were great. So yeah, I don't know. There's not much more to say. 2.5 for me. That's where I lay.
Yeah. Cool.
I can't say much more than what's already been said.
Yeah.
So I really hope. I'm very curious to see the director's, I guess, cut, if that exists. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, it's gonna exist.
Or at least the expanded edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever they call it.
Whatever they call it. I want to see more. I do want to rewatch it. I just want to see, like, oh, okay, so in the beginning, like, this guy's doing this thing, and, like, I want to rewatch it to be like, oh, okay, like, I already knew about this thing.
Yeah,
you know? It may help me and kind of understanding what's happening. Because I just kind of felt like things just sort of happened because they were supposed to happen according to the story that happened in the games. But it didn't quite make sense to me as someone who didn't experience those plot points in the story. I don't know why that happened. Why did they come to that? And why did these people turn evil? I know that the fell magic and all that stuff, but why? They just happen. So, and it's like, it's sort of like things like, it also led to the style too of, I liked the style of Blizzard, but the humans fitting in there kind of felt off. And why did they make those decisions? And I was totally going to lead that into something, and I forgot.
That 11%, what are you going to do?
Hey, it's part of a plan.
It was a plan. I was leading that to something. I totally forgot. This is all going to be cut out. But, yeah, I don't remember. I'm getting drunk now. I don't remember.
No worries.
For a fun, stupid lore thing, apparently Medivh in story was corrupted through his mother's pregnancy, basically. So it's like, he was fucked before he was even born, which is unfair. But, like, that's so even further back that that's unnecessary to go into.
That kind of reminds me of one thing I wanted to talk about, which is, okay, so the half-orc lady, right? She's like, he wishes to lay with me.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But he would not survive the process. How did she get made?
No, totally.
I don't know.
I thought about this,
How
too.
did she get made? How was she born? If the orcs and humans, she's half orc. She had to have...
Because from what they were insinuating, Medivh, I guess, is a beast.
So but like, we don't know her parents, so maybe one of her parents did die from having sex and gave birth to her, right?
Well, we know her mom died after she was born, because in the film they said so. She was burnt alive for having given birth to her.
They did say that, you're right.
And they insinuated, I would say heavily, that Medivh is her father, because he made a comment that he's traveled to faraway places, and he found...
They hint at it. They never say.
Granted, but he said that he then found a strong people who were, like, bound by honor, which, like, describes the orcs. And so it seems like he fucked an orc, possibly then had a baby, boom, Garana.
Which is the only way that could happen, you know?
Yeah.
That big man orc with a woman...
It's the only way it could happen.
It's like, that's not gonna, you know.
But for a small lore change, though, in the stories, Garana is half Draenei, which is the blue people you saw at the very beginning in the cages.
Okay.
Because the Draenei are from the same world as the orcs, because their home world is called Draenor. So they live on there together, and she's a half-breed of those two.
Okay.
But they changed it to have the half-human for this fancy storyline of trying to be like, the humans and orcs need to, like, come together.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, again, I don't think is, like, a huge plot change or lore change, but technically not, right?
Yeah. It's interesting that they made that decision. It's like, why can't she...
Especially because, like, I thought they were going to cut the Draenei from this film, because in games, they don't even show up until, I think, literally the second World of Warcraft expansion.
So really?
Like, yeah.
That far off, huh?
Yeah. Like,
that's quite a bit.
I think they maybe referenced them in Warcraft 3, but they're, like, such a minor component of the game that it's kind of it's just there.
For those who haven't played the games or know anything about the games, can you list out the games basically that happened in Blizzard in order of sequential, like basically a sequential order? Basically, so there's Warcraft 1.
Yeah, there's
Warcraft
1,
2, Warcraft 3.
No, because it was Warcraft, Orcs and Humans is the first. That's, you know, it starts all
That's
this
this movie.
I looked up the timeline the other day. I think, because then there's Warcraft 2, which is Tides of Darkness. And that's the second war, I believe happens like 6 years later. There's an expansion for that called Beyond the Dark Portal, which I don't know if you guys want more spoilers or not, but some of the characters in here...
That's fine. We're in spoiler section.
All right, well, going even heavier spoilers, Khadgar takes a group of knights to the other side of the Dark Portal to close it from that side and becomes, like, lost to the world. Like, he shows back up in the second Warcraft expansion as well. But, like, he's just, like, basically dead to the world.
Interesting.
So like a lot of these characters are very limited. Travis Flimmel, he's gonna die next film unless they change it. Khadgar will disappear next film unless they change it, unless that story gets expanded. But after that game, then they went into Warcraft 3, which is Reign of Chaos. That happens 25 years after the events of this film.
Wow.
Yeah. Because like I heard people being like, in the next movie they'll have like baby Arthas, who is a big character, or sorry, they'll introduce Arthas, but it's like, but if they do, he's like a 4-year-old right now. Like that's not a relevant plot point yet. And then they had an expansion for that called the Frozen Throne, and I think there's like a 4-year gap between that and the launch of Warcraft or World of Warcraft.
It's a lot less than I thought I knew. But I know a lot less than I thought I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was that much. I thought it was just World of Warcraft 1, 2, 3. Boom, World of Warcraft.
Nope, they got really good about making expansions for all of their games. StarCraft had Brood War as an expansion. The second one now has 2 expansions. Diablo 2 even had I think Lord of Destruction. Like they were big about having a big game and then like a minor game as an expansion.
Yeah.
And I always appreciated that.
Yeah.
That being said, Blizzard is currently just like killing it right now.
Dude, they've been killing it. Like
They're
I have my own
dominating the gaming market.
Oh yeah. I mean, they've got the hack and slash on lockdown with Diablo. They got the real-time strategy pretty much on lockdown with StarCraft. WoW's kind of filtering off.
But their original MMO, like they hold that record.
They killed EverQuest, which was the previous WoW. And there hasn't been a new one as popular as WoW. Like, nothing can take their torch from them, even with them being terrible.
ESO tried, but it did not quite.
I mean, they've done
really
well.
And now the biggest thing for them is Overwatch. You have Overwatch now, which is just very popular, and as rightfully so. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Zach, have you played Overwatch at all?
No, I haven't. It's a new one, right?
So fun. It's a new Blizzard game, all in its own, just a very own unique game. I've been playing on Xbox One.
Nice.
So fun. So addicting. You've played on PC.
Yep, it's good.
It's a very good game. It's so fun. It's a first-person shooter, but it's team-based.
I don't know if
you form a team.
I've heard it's described a lot like the new Team Fortress 2.
Okay.
I didn't play that game, but I know it has a huge following, and I've heard it's basically made in that stylized format for like having the team-based things, because there's no just Slayer.
Yeah.
You can't just go in there and deathmatch and murder people. Like everything is team objective based.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even past that, they have Hearthstone, which on casual games
mobile game
is popular. It's mobile. Yeah. They have Heroes of the Storm, which is their version of like Dota, because they're upset that they couldn't steal the license of Dota. Arguably, though, they do a lot of changes. I think it's a better game. Like it's less good if you're the twitchy player who is pro. But if you're not that specific top-tier player, it's so much better for things because it just evens things out without being stupid.
Very interesting. Well, all right. Well, with that, we're almost at 2 hours. We're going to wrap it up. If you guys have listened to this far, thank you so much for listening to us. Really appreciate it. If you want, you can always contact us at listentousrantaboutmovies@gmail.com. You can follow us at LTURAM podcast on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. Please subscribe, rate, and review us. You can find us on iTunes. You can also follow us and subscribe to us on Podomatic, which has an online and mobile app. And we are all over the internet, including YouTube. So get out there, tell your friends. Share and listen. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thanks so much, Bojo.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Oh, quick plug. If anybody, I also helped work on an isometric RPG called Project Resurgence that we got kickstarted.
Nice.
So, like, if you like those types of games, totally check it out.
Yeah, it's a game it's coming out very soon. It got totally promoted up on Kickstarter, It's a CRPG game. Pretty cool. Very along the lines of people who would like Warcraft. It's totally up your alley.
Yeah, it's a different type of game. It's more in like the old Baldur's Gate, Torment, Arcanum kind of play styles, if you're familiar with those games.
But if you like fantasy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a heavy fantasy game.
Nice.
Yeah. And Bojo worked on it. His fiance also worked on it as well.
She is the sole writer for the project.
Very cool.
She wrote all the dialogue and all that stuff. Very cool. I'm excited to play it. So yeah, get out there and check that out as well. That's called Project Resurgence. You can look that up, and it's by Nectar Games. Very cool. And with that wraps up our show. Thanks so much. Again, you guys, Zach, good talking to you as always.
Good talking.
We'll talk soon on a few weeks about our next review, which you'll see our next review up on Twitter. I'll announce it on there. And Bojo, thanks again for coming on. It was great having you.
Yeah, it was a blast.
And I had a great time. Feeling good. Last thoughts on the beer? You guys still feeling
I really enjoyed Hobgoblin. I gotta say. It's good stuff.
I gotta check out the Hobgoblin still.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's great.
That's delicious. The Shadow Brewer, delicious. Amagang, I feel like they all successes.
You can always count on Amagang. And the Weyerbacher Blasphemy beer, which is just... It's strong. it's strong, and it's really tasty. So go out and get it. That's it. Thanks again, guys. Take care.